Alright, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to begin by giving all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem, Rakakidash, right? Double honors, to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And Shalom to all the brothers on the four corners of the earth that teaching this good gospel, sincerity and all truth. Shalom, this brother Yeramiah here, back with another video. Alright, and this video is gonna be on, the title of this lesson will be all that will live godly in our Mashiach will suffer persecution. Right, because all the godly in our Mashiach will suffer persecution. Right, because once you live in, godly and, righteous, and living justly, you will, suffer persecution because them do want you to be right and to be right in your head, they don't want you to be doing the right thing. They don't want you to be just, right? So you will suffer persecution because of that, because we serve in the Lord Yahweh, we will suffer persecution, and as a rule, as a prophet, you will suffer persecution, even the men, women, and children, them will, get a little, a portion of that, but the real ones who really get in it is the Lord's prophet, the servant, the prophet, because them that gotta go out on the streets and preach is mocking, scoffing, men that will end them because they're preaching this word. It had a brother who died because of that. I not to go into all of that because that's not the lesson, but it had a brother who died because of that, because a Muslim man, axed out the brother because he believed, in something else, and, I don't know what it was at that time, but it was a Muslim man, right? So, right, but that is not the point, but, all that will live for the Mashiach, will suffer persecution, right? So, let me start with our first one. Let me start with our first one. I think I 1 Timothy 4. Here's the 1 Timothy, 2 Timothy. Alright, 1 Timothy 4. Nope, not this one. Not this one. Not this one. Wait a minute. I just wanted to check, because I know it's one of the Timothy's, but no, not this one. No, not this one. Well, actually, we're going to begin. Actually, you know what? No, Salah. Let me just go get the precept that we want. Yes, look at that. Right? 2 Timothy chapter 2. Salakia. And Salak, I forgot to say Salakia for all the noise, that passing, about a road, but it's really works that the Lord still have to do. Right, these are things that, commanded of us to do, we have to do our lesson, be on fire for the Lord, right, do our lesson, show our diligence, give our diligence to make our point election, show, all this is a part of, works, right. So 2 Timothy, right, I just have to go back because I can't really see off the screen too much. So 2 Timothy 2 Timothy 3 and 12, it says, ye and all that will live godly in Hamashiach Yahushai, right, shall suffer persecution. Right, so once you live in godly in the Lord, you will suffer persecution. Let me look at Jeremiah, for instance. Jeremiah was a prophet of the Lord, and Jeremiah say, I can't stop preaching the word. He was saying that he can't stop preaching the word of the Lord and stop giving the people warning and things, because he's saying that because, right, the only outcome, the only, reward I get, alright, what he basically saying is, what? Salakia. Right, Salakia. You know what? Let me don't put it in my words. Let me just go and read it. Oh, excuse me. I think that's Jeremiah 20. Burning in Bedman. Burning in Jeremiah 20. Well, not Jeremiah 20, but in Jeremiah. Yeah, Jeremiah 27, Jeremiah 20 and 9. It says, Then I said, I will not make mention of him, nor speak of him, who? The Lord Yahweh Shemeshai, right? No speak anymore in his name, which who name? The Lord Yahweh Shai. But his word was in my heart as a burning fire shut up in my bones, and I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay. So let's read that in the let's read that in the GNT. Jeremiah 29. Jeremiah chapter 20 and verse 9. It says, but when I say I will forget the Lord and no longer speak in his name. Actually, you know what? Let me start at Let me start at 7. It says, Jeremiah 20 and 7. It says, O Lord, Yahweh Shemeshai, thou hast deceived me, and I was deceived. Thou art stronger than I, and hast prevailed. I am in derision, right? Daily, everyone mocking me. Because why they mocking Jeremiah? Because Jeremiah was coming and saying, hey, or they're going to be seized by the Babylonians. Turn back to the Lord. He was giving the people warning, but it didn't happen. They say, no, we're going to continue in the own evil and them thing. Right? So them didn't happen unto the word of the Lord. Them say them will continue in the evil. Right? Them going to continue on in the evil. Right? Them did not happen. Right? So that way it says everyone mocking me. Right? Because that's the role of a prophet. A prophet does get mocked at, scoffed at, and all these different things. This is what a prophet does get. A life of a prophet. Mocked, scoffed at. They wanna end you, they wanna kill you. Because that same thing, they wanted the Jeremiah said it, we go read all of that. Right? We go read all of that. Verse 8, it says, for since I spake, I cried out. I cried violence and spoil, because the word of the Lord was made a reproach unto me, and a derision daily. So now let's read all of this in the GNT. Right? Jeremiah complains to the Lord, like he heading for verse 7. It says, Lord, you have deceived me, and I was deceived. You are stronger than I am, and you have overpowered me. Everyone makes fun of me. They laugh at me all day long. Right? And there's the role of a prophet right there. They're laughing at him. That's what it says, Salakia. There's noise pass. Right? As it says, everyone makes fun of me. They might, and hey, this is something that we go through now as well. They'll make fun of us, they'll say, hey, that they are men who wear dresses and these different things. And it's a garment we wear, and they're calling it dresses. So they the role of a prophet, Right? Everyone, they laughed at me all day long. Right? Them on watch Jeremiah and say, hey, but he preaching again, boy, and we don't tell you we continuing on and we evil and we not turning back. Look at that fool. That what them would have do at that time. Right? And then it says, whenever I speak, I have to cry out and shout violence, destruction. And hey, this is the role of a prophet. Right? Them shouting violence. And this is what the prophets are doing now. We telling them, hey, destruction coming. The day of the first of all, the day of the Lord is coming. The return of the Lord is now. Right? The day of the Lord is coming. Destruction is coming. Violence is coming. Because Jacob's trouble is coming. Right? In all of that, it will have violence. Men shall be like a madman, sparing none, spoiling, and devouring, and all these different things. Right? And this is what we just do now. We just cry out. Destruction, judgment. That was Jeremiah is doing here. And that is the same thing we do today. Because the prophets are what? Subject to the prophets. Right? Right? We continue on. It says, Lord, I am ridiculed and scorned at all the time. Right? Because I proclaim your message. And what proclaim mean? It's like proclaiming, you're bringing forth. Proclaiming is like, you're bringing forth, you're saying that, hey, this is going to happen. You can go into that word. That's all. So I mean to do that there. Alright, Google. Define proclaim. Let's see what it says. To announce officially or publicly, and that was Jeremiah was doing. He was announcing Wait, when you go back where it says, right, because I proclaim a message, you're proclaiming the Lord message, announcing the Lord message, right, announcing it, proclaiming it, that it says here, or publicly, you know, right, when you go back, right. But when, continue, it says, but when I say I will forget the Lord and no longer speak in his name, then your message is like a fire burning deep within me. So it's like a fire. You had to bring it for you. You had to say it. You had to preach the word. Right? You can't just not preach the word because it's burning in your heart. Just, you know, like how you, like it's burning in your heart. Like somebody speaking about something like you know a lot about and it's burning in your heart just to tell them, hey, nah, boy, is this, is that. You're wrong and is this. You know? It's just like that. Right? So kind of continue on, right? So it's like after like as I'm bringing in, you know, like it's like you're hearing some Christians talking or you're hearing some people talking about the Bible. I hear by myself and you know you're hearing them speaking the wrong thing and it burning within you just to tell them, hey, nah, you're speaking the wrong thing. This way it is and it burning with you, you know, but sometimes the spirit doesn't let you just go and just start talking, you know. The spirit like, Lord, hey, watch 144 on that number, play the other car. Right, so it's like a fire burning in his heart. You have to bring it forth. You can't just shut up and don't bring it forth. You have to proclaim it. You have to announce it. It's burning in his heart to announce it. Right, burning within me. Right, I try my best to hold it in, but can no longer keep it back. Right, look. Right, that he says he can no longer keep it back. It was burning within him. He had to bring it forth. He had to announce. He had to proclaim it. Right? Oh my, this all of this is just going back to what I was speaking about. Let's read verse 10 in the KJV. Verse 10 it says, for I heard the deferment of many, fear on every side, report, say they, and we will report. All my familiars watch for my halting, saying, peradventure he will be enticed and we shall prevail against him and we shall take our revenge on him. Why? Because Jeremiah proclaiming the word of the Lord. Remember, all that will live godly in Hamashiach will suffer persecution. And that's what Jeremiah was doing. That what Jeremiah was, you know, going through likewise. He was suffering persecution the same way. Right? The same way Jeremiah was, just the same way he was suffering persecution. Right? Same way. Right? But I want to get it. Alright, let me read that first and then I'll get that point, right? Verse 11, it's verse 10. Oh my. Alright, we gotta read verse 11 in the KJV too. Verse 11 in the KJV, it says, but the Lord Yahweh Shemeshai is with me as a mighty, terrible one. Therefore my persecutors. Yeah. I read again. It says Jeremiah 20 and 11. So like real noise passing at the moment. Now coming to the evening time, you know, people going home. People who working, you know, they're going home. But anyway, we do what we have to do here, right? Jeremiah 20 and 11, it says, but the Lord Yahweh Shemeshai is with me as a mighty, terrible one. Therefore my persecutors shall stumble. That is what will happen to his persecutors. They will stumble. And they shall fall, so like, and they shall not prevail, and they shall be greatly ashamed, for they shall not prosper. Their everlasting confusion shall not be forgotten. I'm going to read the 2 verses now. The 2 verses now. In G&D it says, wow, real noise, so like, yeah. Right. Verse 10 it says in GNT, I hear everybody whispering, terror is everywhere. So let's report him to the authorities. And that's what it does do to us. They want to report the prophets of the Lord to the authorities. So the authorities could get them off the streets and these different things. They want to report us. Right? That's what they want to do. Right? Even my close friends wait for my downfall. And these something that does happen in the world. Even though these are prophets, you know. And your close friend, I'm waiting for your downfall, because them secretly not on where you on there. So them waiting for your downfall. Right? Them really saying in the heart, boy, hey, but I can't wait for you, but he just go on and on, but I can't wait for he downfall to come, but he just go on and preaching about this Yahweh Shai thing, and for about this truth and about Yahweh Hashem and about the and about he preaching about this besiege and all them kind of nonsense. That them would have been saying at that time. His friends could have been saying that, and the people they were saying that, right? Perhaps he can be tricked, they say. Then we can catch him and get revenge. But you, Lord, are on my side, strong and mighty, and those who persecute me will fall. Salak will fail, they will be disgraced forever because they cannot succeed. And why they can't succeed? Because the Lord is on our side. The Lord is on the prophet's side. So if the Lord was on Jeremiah's side that it didn't succeed, the Lord will be on our side. Right? You know, we will still suffer persecution, but the Lord will be on our side. Right? Their disgrace will never be forgotten. Right? Bed my fast. Right, come. So continuing on, right? So they was just this was just hitting this hit the point, you know, real sweet, you know. All that will live godly in Hamashiach. Jeremiah was, you know, he was living godly, you know. He was doing the will of the Lord, you know, keeping the Lord's commandments. Right? Because he understood the power of the Lord. Them people, you know, them forgot the Lord. Right? Them forgot the Lord and started to serve these idols. Them forget the Lord. Them forget who's the Lord Yahweh Shemeshai. Them forget who's the real God here. Them forget his power, everything. Right? So the Lord had to remind them and give them licks. Get besieged, get killed. And by saying, like when you start from 15, they'll get killed. Dogs will rip them apart. The wolves, dogs, you know, wild animals, wild beasts of the field. The birds of the air will, birds of heaven, the birds of the air will have a feast. All these different things because they were the Lord, you know, tell Jeremiah to proclaim against them or to announce to them, hey, this was going to happen to them really and truly. So Jeremiah was suffering persecution and he was godly. And look, he was suffering persecution. Right? So let's read that last part there. So you have another lesson to do as well. So let's read it. I want to get the part where that is say they got pit for him. Pit. Jeremiah 18 and 22 it says, let a cry be heard from their houses. Just don't bear me for a second. I don't see that you want to. Right, Jeremiah 18 and 22 it says, let a cry be heard from their houses when thou shalt bring a troop suddenly upon them, the Babylonians, right? That is the troop, right? For they have dig a pit to take me and hid snares for my feet. That would have try to X out Jeremiah. That would have tried to do. They try to X you out. Nah, let me try to get you out of here. Right? Yet Lord Yahweh Shemeshai thou knowest all their counsel against me to slay me. Forgive not their iniquity, neither blot out their sin from my side, from thy side, but let them be overthrown by thee. Deal thus with them in the time of thy anger. So Jeremiah was tired of that. But Jeremiah was telling, you know, hey, forgive them, you know. And you know, he was real then emotional for the people and things, you know. But when the Lord really showed them, but still like when the Lord really showed Jeremiah over them, like Jeremiah forget our talk and say, hey Lord, just go ahead and end them. You know, he started going out and proclaim the word, you know, of the Lord against them, so the Lord could, you know, bring the troops upon them, you know, and that did happen, right? So all that will live godly in Hamashiach will suffer persecution, right? And it have a lot more you could add to these precepts, you know, and these things, right? It have a lot more, you know, but that could be for another time, you know, for another date, another time, another lesson, right? You know, the point was made, right? So hopefully this lesson was edifying to Lord's elect, giving all praises, all and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect, Shalom Labakarim, and that is wicked place. Shalom, Shalom to the elect. Good evening, ladies. Shalom.